Welcome. Let's do a sound check. Before I get started, welcome in everyone. Happy Friday. Okay, so that looks like it's working amazingly. I've been having audio problems, but welcome in everyone. So this is our last Friday night's fight, round number 13. It's been a very difficult few days for me as I reflect upon all the happenings in the world and how my voice might be added to a positive benefit. And it's not an easy thing to reflect upon because this world is very noisy. The rhetoric and the speech is overwhelming. I almost get to a point where I feel like more speech is not better. Is it? I know personally, coming from a musical background, I find music to be such a heavenly speech. The ability to perceive beauty directly through sound without all of the attachments to meaning and preconceived triggers that words bring into an equation. Because regardless whether you want to agree with it or not, you have been programmed. I have been programmed. We all have been programmed. And someone asked me earlier today what I thought about MK Ultra, and it's like, what do you say to that? It's like, well, this entire world that's privy to mainstream media, television, has been programmed since our births. And so this concept of thought and speech and meaning is very difficult. There's a lot of tricksiness to it all. And say words words utilize spelling. And I've been in circles before where we discuss the spells of spelling and the double meanings of words. And so words are difficult. And words are also meaningful. And in all the noise, it appears that we've lost sight of the meaning of words. We've lost sight of ourselves. We've lost sight of consuming versus creating, of speaking versus listening, of outside or evolution versus involution and inside. Outward direction of energy and inward direction of energy. And it's very difficult. So tonight, I called my show Friday Night Fights Round 13. Charlie Kirk, Online Radicalization, Hate, and Programming. Delphi Mean Girls and the Troll Farm. Fix yourself. Just to give maybe an indication of the broader subjects that I'd like to touch upon. And let me say that due to programming, there will be things that I say tonight that some of you won't like. And some of you will permanently part ways, and that's fine. Some of you will like, and you will permanently adhere, and that's acceptable as well. And so it's hard to even know where to begin. You know, I thought about writing out my commentary for tonight, as I've done a time or two before, when there's something I like to say that's difficult. And I thought, no, you know, it's not. If I attempt to do that, it will be pushing an agenda or attempting to craft my words rather than to let them flow. And so that's what's happening tonight. And I'm going to ask you in the chat, just please don't, okay? Please don't. If you want to vehemently disagree, just please check on out of the chat tonight. That's not the energy we need in here. And we'll be fine with that, okay? If you'd like me to take your wrench, just drop in the chat, and one of the mods will email me, and I'll take your wrench afterwards, because I'm not going to read the chat tonight. I'm not reading it now. Because I'm not going to allow you to lead me one way or the other. It's important that I speak the way that I'd like to. And this is really disturbing because I have spent the days watching and thinking and praying. And there's so many directions you can go, you know, one way or the other. And I felt like I've argued. I've also listened. And this is difficult because I never wanted to sit here and try to be better than anyone or be the adult in the room or tell people what to do, think, or say. But I feel like at times someone has to be the adult in the room, and someone has to ask everyone else to become the adults in the room. And I'm not immune from error. So just as you might be easily triggered, I'm easily triggered. We are all easily triggered due to the programming and the emotions, the frustration, the noise, the hate. And so it's difficult. It's difficult to speak because, see, we are in a crisis. And this crisis has not just come about this week or this year or this decade. It really has not. We are in a crisis that has been a long time in the works. And it's only been magnified and amplified by technology in our current culture. And it's really expedited the surfacing of problems that have been around. And this is a great experiment. You know, we are the first generation truly coping with this level of rapid development of technology and how we deal with it. And it's a work in progress. And what I like to do or what I like to say is that I want to appeal to all the normal people here. Because let's be honest, there are tons of abnormal people. There is a level of mental illness endemic in our society that is unbelievable. Living in America at this point in time, we are in one of the most violent societies we have ever seen. And no, this violence has nothing to do with guns. It has nothing to do with knives. Nothing to do with right wing or left wing. It has something to do with a disease. A hate, rage that's been programmed into you to turn the normal person into an abnormal person, or the well person into a sick person. And so, to do that, they use division. Because the concept is that if you take a large group of normal people and you start dividing them and subdividing them repeatedly, over and over, you create sides. You create differences. You create issues where there are no issues. And the greatest achievement of a ruling class that wants everyone distracted and everyone not seeing the horrible reality that they are the greatest achievement is to have us arguing about shit that doesn't matter, shit that isn't real, and shit that keeps us further apart. And what you saw this week in the brutal, blatant, widely public assassination of Charlie Kirk at a speaking event, it's a symptom of this disease. And people will say, he was divisive. He exercised hate speech. And on and on and on. People who would assert that they believe in free speech. And I just could not believe my eyes these past few days in the rhetoric, in the absolute disgusting sickness of people celebrating the slaughter of a man for his speech. And I think all perspective is lost here. You know, to not acknowledge that this individual I'd say is probably one of the most straight-laced, down the middle conservatives you could imagine. And people say, far-right extremist he was. Sorry. It's just not true. It's just not true. You're talking about the most straight down the middle conservative possibly that has a platform. And if you deny that, then you're also denying what else exists. And I just found it so strange because I didn't necessarily, I'm not a fan of listening to the guy, okay? But I saw what he was doing. He's going into communities of younger people on their turf, discussing with his platform what he wanted to discuss with people who wanted to discuss with him. And it was astonishing to see the response. Celebrations, dancing, laughing, t-shirts, memes being made. Truly the sickest of the sick response. To a horrible, disgusting, evil act. Who did he blow away with a 30-06? Anyone? And of course, you had an entire sphere of people who, for years now, have amped up the rhetoric, right? Existential threat, Nazi, terrorist, fascist, etc., etc., etc. And those same people, many of them politicians, take to the airwaves or to their Twitters and they say, oh, it's a sad and tragic day, what has happened. I condemn any sort of violence. Just like MSNBC and the other mainstream media. I condemn this violence. But he fostered hate and division. As if they didn't and don't and haven't for years. And you've seen it yourselves as a microcosm in the Delphi community. This hateful, vile, raging behavior and discussion among people. One of the attempts I've made in my 3 years here is to show it to you specifically, to consistently address it and put it in your faces and say, this is not acceptable. And there's been very little agreement. The consequence of that has been that I've lost followers. I've lost followers. I've gotten more harassment. I've been shamed. For what? For showing you the truth. My friends in this small Delphi community, we've been terrorized for years. Terrorized. And it's funny because you look at the troll farm and everyone says, yeah, the troll farm's obvious, right? Troll farm. A bunch of right-wing, dope dealing, raging, uneducated lunatics. You kind of expect the brutality from them. Plus, they're all on the other side. And then I showed you the wolves in sheep's clothing. Those who would hide behind a mask, right? Who would be in disguise. Just as vile, rageful, unhinged, but who are adept at hiding it. Wearing this mask that has a sheen of professionalism and advocacy and education and righteousness. And as I've shown you, the faces, the ugly faces of this, they only increased or turned up the volume. And many of you turned away because you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear the truth. Which brings us around to what we're dealing with here. Bare minimum facts. And I think that's where there's a fundamental difference. And the reflection of that in the political world is that there's a reason that people are upset about this incident beyond the fact that you're celebrating his murder. And it's been said already, the fact that that guy was one of the guys who was willing to talk. And I told someone today, you might have noticed that I'm not very willing to talk with the other side. Why, Prof? Well, I don't see the value in it. You see, I realized that discussion was no longer productive, so therefore it ends. Because a good faith discussion means you sit and you stop and you agree on facts as a foundation for that discussion. What are the undeniables? And you step through them. But in politics, in the political world, just like in this Delphi world, people won't agree on the facts. They will deny the facts until the end of time because they don't want the facts to be the facts. As if the facts require your permission to become factual, which is insanity. And this is where it might go sideways for you. Because there's a reason that the extremes don't work. And there's a reason that this election worked out the way that it did. People are sick of the bullshit. Okay? And that's an absolute undeniable fact at this point. And I'm sick of the bullshit. I have sat here for 3 years and avoided at all cost any discussion of political leanings because I thought, hey, the best thing we should be doing is bringing people together, bringing reasonable, honest, and normal people together to have good faith discussions on what we're interested in discussing. And as has gone on, I've seen people not be able to handle that. Not be able to handle having a good faith discussion and bring people together in a genuine and honest and level position to discuss what's important to us and exclude the bullshit. And I've seen division sowing. And I may bring up specific examples later, but it really doesn't matter. But I think you may remember the examples if you really think about this. Because I know that some of you have seen and heard in the past 6 months that you're not wanted in the Delphi conversation if you voted a certain way or not. This being said by people who should be held in positions of high esteem. And I remember sitting back in astonishment, like, really? Your advocacy requires that you don't want any half at a minimum of the population that might be coming into your community to discuss Delphi. You don't want them there? But yeah, that was said by more than one, repeatedly. And there are people on Twitter right now continuing the bullshit. You're wolves in sheep's clothing. But what they will do is terrorize those of us who have had good faith discussions about the things that matter and who have demanded accountability, truth, being level. And you know, I think that when we look at this current situation in the world, I think that many people don't understand the precipice that we are at right now. And I don't mean the precipice that we are not going to go over. I mean the precipice we are already going over. You see, I am absolutely confident many of your worst nightmares are going to come true. And no, I don't mean with guns. I think that there's going to be a backlash in legislation, in the legal system, And in the writing of the course, that many had not anticipated. I mean, it goes back some years now. This is, like I said, this has been ongoing for years. And we sit here, and people in the middle say, leave me alone. Leave my kids alone. Leave my life alone. And people are not able to handle that. These fucking maniacs are not able to handle it. And so I can smell it in the air. The time for debate is over. What you're going to see is that people are going to start declaring the truth and the facts, whether you like it or not. Fuck your feelings. Fuck your perversions, your kinks, your politics. No one cares. Because at the end of the day, you are an adult. You should be a normal fucking human being and worry about what matters. People are real. How many of you spend more hours a day away from your devices than you do on the devices? And I mean fucking waking hours, not sleep. From the time you're up in the morning to the time to go to sleep at night, how many hours are you not in the fucking internet with your life energy? All of this shit has been allowed because the adults in the room allowed it. Meaning, you're dealing with mature, patient, Christian, compassionate types. As these things have developed, those adults in the room did not want to treat you like children, to dismiss you, to address you. They wanted to tolerate and tolerate and tolerate and tolerate. And it's partially to blame on the adults in the room for that reason. Because they let these people foment a type of insanity that should never be allowed. Now, who's to blame? Well, Let's see. Where does all of this take place? Where does it all take place? On the internet. Well, what's the internet, Prof? Well, let's see. Discord, Reddit, Facebook, YouTube. Are you getting what I'm saying here? Every place that's been allowed, that has allowed this sort of insanity to fucking perpetuate, just happens to be a corporate entity. And we've seen all over the world the effects of that incubating of insanity, which I call online radicalization venues. So you got a Discord, and everyone's talking shit, and it's an echo chamber. What happens to noise in an echo chamber? It's amplified. It cooks. It's a pressure cooker. And that rhetoric is amplified and amplified and amplified till those sound waves are so fucking violent that the whole thing explodes. That's what you saw with Charlie Kirk. But we've seen it. Look in the past 5 years at all of the arrest of individuals committing terrorism who've been incubated in these platforms. And even YouTube does it. YouTube has allowed these people in Delphi to terrorize this community. And a lot of you are not on the receiving end. If you're just a viewer, you're not on the receiving end. So you don't necessarily understand the degree of terrorization that goes on. It's why I said the other day, you're all fucking terrorists. Period. It's been allowed. These platforms have allowed this shit for years. It's tolerated. And there's a financial incentive to it, which is the fucked up part. Because every hour on the platform, every view minute, every click, it's all a big engine. It's a machine. And with every turn of the wheel, it's dollar signs. It's been unchecked. That's that level. And there's another level, which is law enforcement has allowed it. Law enforcement doesn't do shit until somebody dies. Then they care. Then they'll come in and say, oh, there's been terrorism happening here? Oh, I guess we'll address it now. Online radicalization and hate. Every single one of these killers have started in these echo chambers. Every single one of them. Mm, have you ever seen it addressed? Ask the creators in Delphi how many death threats they've received. How many threats for people to come to their homes and kill them and their children have they received? It's been allowed. Not for lack of reporting, because it's tolerated until someone dies. Would lead one to believe it's intentional. And I have asked all of you so many times, don't accept the shit. Don't accept it. Call it out. Call it out. Don't go there where it's happening. Don't go there. Don't participate in it. Don't validate these people. Shame them, discredit them, ostracize them over and over again. And I've shown you all the proof every single time. So has Adrian, and so have others. And I never like using terms like good and evil, but this is truly, truly, truly good and evil. This is about evil. And if you had any doubt, look at what just happened. Look at the leftists dancing, partying, having a big old fun time. Simultaneously providing disinformation to muddy the waters. There's truly no discussion about what's to be had about what's right or wrong, or what's true or not true, or what's fact or what's not fact. That's really absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why, if we're all adults here, why does it take so much beating your head against the wall? I'm telling you, we are dealing with an epidemic of mental illness that is unbelievable. It's unprecedented. And that's combined with these echo chambers and with this over medicalization of everyone. Everyone's got some fucking issue. Everyone's got fucking too many prescriptions. Everyone's misdiagnosed, overdiagnosed, wrongly diagnosed. You got therapists who need to fucking be in treatment themselves. It's an absolute horror show. And it's been allowed. And like I said, the platforms, it's condoned because they get the engagement no matter what it is. But people are literally tired of being told what to think, told what to say and to do, and how they should live, and all of the above. And I think the time for discussing all of that stuff, it's come and gone. You're going to see action rather than accommodation. And like I said, agreeing upon these touch points of reality is absolutely important. Like let's be real here. We have a problem with violence in the United States, and it has nothing to do with legal rednecks owning guns. Who gives a fuck with a redneck with a gun? He wants to shoot targets or go fucking shoot a deer? We're gonna make that like another fucking gaslight. Gun debates. Oh, we're gonna talk about fucking pregnancy debates. We're gonna talk about fucking uh, 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 15 fucking genders. Okay, when there's a reality. We are the adults in the room, and there are children growing up in this world who will become adults. What are we fighting about if it's not making something better for those children? And these people will give you prepackaged boogeymen as the brunt of all their arguments. So every argument, it's we have to start remembering that normal people don't want this every day in and day out. People don't want it. I could go get 1,000 screenshots right now and put them across your face and show you a bunch of bullshit. Why? That's been done already. You have eyes to see it for yourself. Completely unacceptable. And I'm tired. And if you're out here saying that you're not tired, you're not being honest with yourselves. Everyone is tired as fuck of the toxicity and the rhetoric. And you should be. And I'm telling you, when you take a tolerant group of people, a patient group of people, adults, I mean, think of all the teachers you had in your life or your old grandparents or anyone. When you push them to a certain point, they finally fucking snap and they just yell, right? Think of your nicest teacher getting pushed to the fucking point where she's had enough and she just yells at your ass and slams a book down. You know, you can get the image in your head. That's where we are. And so I'm not my Delphi content from now on is going to be extremely fucking limited. Extremely fucking limited. People have had enough of the bullshit. There are things that are important, there are things that are not. There are things that matter and things that don't. There are things that are real and things that are not. Um, I swear to God, if I see any of you validating any bullshit, I'm just not. I'm done. I'm not talking anymore. Like, I can't. I just can't even another day. I can't keep going. It's been too much. And the shit that I see in this community, it's been absolutely mind-boggling in Delphi. Like I go around the YouTubes, I see when people are going live and what's being said and all this and shit in this chat and these comments and that comments. Even this past week, and I'm not going to even discuss it right now because I'm not here to discuss any of the bullshit. But seriously, you do not understand the level of bullshit in this community. It's narrative control. It's uniparty. It's fucking terrorism, and it's fucking PR. This is a cover up of epic proportions, and I've drilled it into your heads forever. And it seems like no one fucking gets it. Like, is it a cover up or not? I mean, it's the patient, tolerant adults who have refused to fucking call it out that have enabled this bullshit. And I think when I say that this whole society is falling off a precipice, I mean it because it's done like what you don't understand the precipitous changes that will be coming. everything that you see from this point forward, you need to call out. This is just the way it is now. Trust me, those motherfuckers dancing at the murder of a man on fucking basically what was essentially national TV. Imagine, if you will, thousands of people celebrating JFK getting his head blown off. Or anyone else. They would be shamed. They would be ostracized. They'd be called absolute psychotic fucking freaks. And they would never be allowed to live, work, fucking function in any normal people's society. And I truly believe that's where we are now. Because people have bit their tongues for too long in trying to be tolerant, trying to turn the other cheek, trying to allow people to have their freedom of speech. Well, fuck it. There's freedom of speech, and there's a condoning of a fucking political assassinations because you disagreed with someone's opinions. That is unacceptable. There's no justification for it. Just like there's no justification for the fucking terrorism that has gone on in this Delphi community going back years. But it's been tolerated. People have zipped their lips about it and not shown it enough. And to be honest with you, I believe we're dealing with the same fucking group of people. I mean, at the end of the day, we're dealing with psychotic, fucking evil people who have fucking agendas and are behaving in a way to try to control what they're not able to control. And it's time to start holding these platforms and law enforcement accountable for not addressing the issue. And look, these cover ups, why is it that every time something terrible happens, it's a fucking cover up? Have you thought about that? These indescribable horrors over and over and over and over and over again. Cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up. And there's all of this misinformation and disinformation that's spread around every single time even in Delphi, to muddy the waters, to have everyone fucking arguing about shit doesn't matter and confused repeatedly. This is Delphi, right? It's magic, hocus pocus, distraction. Look over here. I'm done with that too. And I'm going to be showing you, okay? Now, you already haven't liked it, and you're not going to like the things that I show you, but I think for us to somehow become more mature, more responsible for what we're dealing with, you're going to have to wipe the illusions from your eyes. And instead of seeing personalities who you adore, you're going to have to see the fruit. That should be what you're judging. But it's like they're doing with this guy, like, he microaggressions, he's a fascist. So that's the justification for political assassination? Okay. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think there's any justification because it's not our job to give and take life. It's God's. But I find it odd that the same fucking group, their intention is to narrative push or even nudge. You don't have to push a narrative that far to get it off track, you know? For instance, let's read this. I want to bring this up. Let's see. I don't know how to get this where I can see it better. Maybe this. That's too small for the screen, but I'll read it anyway. It says, the following information was obtained by your affiant from police officers, multiple video recordings posted on social media websites, Utah Valley University campus surveillance cameras, and those who witnessed the incident. On September 10, 2025, Charles James Kirk was at the Utah Valley University campus in Orem, Utah for a political event. Mr. Kirk is a conservative political activist who was scheduled to speak at an event in the courtyard area on the UVU campus. The courtyard area is to the west of the Lossie Center building. According to video recordings, Charles was wearing a white t-shirt and dark pants sitting under a white canopy in a courtyard of the campus facing to the east. The event was attended by hundreds of individuals. I heard 3,000. Charles was surrounded by people with multiple individuals to his left, right, and rear and front of the canopy. Behind the canopy was a walkway used for access to various parts of the university. Charles was holding a microphone and speaking to a crowd. While speaking into the microphone, a loud gunshot was heard at approximately 12:23 hours, and Charles appeared to have been hit in the neck. Blood was seen coming out of the left side of his neck as he fell over to his left. Charles was transported to the Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem. Charles was pronounced deceased at the hospital. Investigators reviewed the Utah Valley University surveillance cameras. While reviewing the surveillance cameras, investigators observed an individual on the rooftop of the Lucy Center building on the UVU campus at the time of the shooting. Hereinafter, the unidentified individual will be referred to as suspect. Based upon surveillance camera footage, suspect appears to be a white male with dark colored hair wearing a dark colored hat, sunglasses, a long sleeve black shirt with a picture of an American flag and an eagle printed on the shirt, dark colored jeans, and a white gray shoes with white colored shoelaces. The shoes appear to be consistent with Chuck Taylor Converse style shoes. Suspect is also carrying a dark colored backpack on his back. Suspect walks with a distinctive gait. Prior to the shooting, suspect appears to walk with a stiff right leg at a relatively slow pace. Suspect's ability to bend his right leg appears to be restricted. Investigators were able to track suspect's movements on the UVU campus starting at approximately 11:50 hours on 9/10/2025. At approximately 11:50 hours, a UVU surveillance camera first captured suspect walking across a grassy area north of Campus Drive at approximately 800 West. Suspect walked south through the parking lot and approached a pedestrian tunnel that runs underneath Campus Drive. Before entering the tunnel, suspect paused at the top of the stairs and pulled out what appeared to be a cell phone from his right pocket using his right hand at approximately 11:53 hours. Suspect eventually put what appeared to be a cell phone back in his right pants pocket using his right hand. Surveillance captured suspect making his way toward the Lucy Center. At approximately 12:02 hours, suspect was recorded walking on the north side of the Lucy Center building, walking at the same gait as observed earlier. Suspect entered the Lucy Center building through a set of doors on the southeast corner of the Lucy Center building. At approximately 12:15 hours, suspect was observed walking up the stairs that led to a common area adjacent to the Lucy Center building. Shit. Suspect walked to a short concrete wall that separates the common area from the rooftop of the Lucy Center building. At approximately 12:17 hours, suspect climbed over the short wall and appeared to crouch down on the north side of the wall on the rooftop. At approximately 12:22 hours, suspect stood up and started running across the rooftop of the Lucy Center building. The notable limp from previous surveillance was absent. Suspect ran to the west side of the building or of the rooftop and appeared to scoot along the rooftop area as he got closer to the edge of the rooftop. At approximately 12:22 hours, suspect laid down in a position consistent with a prone shooting position near the edge of the rooftop and appeared to be facing west, in the direction of the courtyard area. The rooftop of the Lucy Center building overlooks the courtyard area where the event featuring Charlie Kirk was taking place. The Lucy Center building is east of the courtyard area. At approximately 12:23 hours, Charlie Kirk was shot. At approximately 12:23 hours, surveillance shows that suspect stood up suddenly from the edge of the rooftop and sprinted north on the rooftop of the Lucy Center building. Suspect ran to the northeast corner of the Lucy Center building and approached the edge of the rooftop. Suspect placed a dark-colored item on the rooftop and proceeded to lower himself off the rooftop. Suspect dropped off the rooftop onto the grass below. Suspect ran north near the parking lot to the east of the Lucy Center. At approximately 12:24 hours, suspect ran north across Campus Drive Road. Suspect appeared to be carrying an item whose identity is not clear from the surveillance. The area north of the Campus Drive Road where suspect crossed over consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 .30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscription on a fired casing read, "Notices bulge OWO, what's this?" Inscriptions on 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, catch," up arrow symbol, right arrow symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." A third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, laugh my ass off." Investigators also discovered a shoe impression on the northeast corner rooftop edge of the Loose Center building. This shoe impression was located in the vicinity where suspect climbed down from the rooftop. A shoe impression is consistent with the shoe sole characteristics of a Converse Chuck Taylor shoe. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, a family member of Tyler Robinson, this is where you should probably listen more closely. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at UVU. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon T-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with the surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, 2025, and in conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They also talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed the roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler. Tyler stating needing a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving a rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope of the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. Based upon the evidence detailed in his statement, I believe there's probable cause that Tyler Robinson committed the crime of aggravated murder by shooting Charlie Kirk in a circumstance that put many around him at grave risk of death, felony discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice for moving and hiding the rifle believed to be used in the shooting. All right. Now, so this transpired where everyone learns his identity. And here's where the spin starts. And this is important for you to acknowledge reality. Okay? Immediately upon his identity being revealed, a plethora of leftist accounts go into spin mode. Now, you may have already learned that it's a fact that this individual's family are conservative, Republican, I believe Mormon individuals. So immediately it goes into absolute spin machine. Well, he's a Republican, a Trumper, blah blah blah. Which immediately is counterintuitive because think for yourself. Of course, strange things happen every day. It's not beyond the realm of possibility, just counterintuitive. And if you remember, it's odd. This is very odd because think back to Luigi Mangione shooting the CEO in New York, also inscribing odd messages on his bullets. So I gave it some thought and I started looking and thinking, well, obviously, you would look into social media. This is what people do. They look around, they dig into who is this guy. There's a lot of oddities. But I found the most incredible oddity is that this extreme push from the far left to make this guy a Republican didn't sit right with me. It didn't sit right with me because every time this is almost like a modus operandi of these people. And by these people, I mean everyone who's doing these cover-ups. They come out immediately with the push, which shows you what not to look at. Because whatever they're pushing, you look in the opposite direction. And for me, they're pushing that he's this, I'm going to look in the opposite direction. And I mean, if you take in, let's say this. So this phrase right here is pretty revealing, right? Let me read it to you. Hey, fascist, catch. Hey, fascist, catch. Well, that kind of lines up, right? That kind of lines up. It makes sense. Hey, fascist, catch. Okay, so we're calling him a fascist, meaning you're putting down a fascist, meaning you're anti-fascist. Oh, it started to smell right. It started to smell right then. Anti-fascist. Anti-fascist, right? Antifa. Okay, so what is this? This says um, So this is for your consideration. OW notices bulges or notices bulge. OWO. What's this? This is a direct reference to the internet meme and furry fandom culture. Okay, so please, everyone who knows Delphi, okay, if you know Delphi, you should know about the furries. Of course, the retards are going to clip that and out of context and make me look stupid, right? If you know about Delphi, you should know about the furries. So first red flag, furry fandom culture. Okay. Check. Specifically the noticing bulge trope. In online communities, for example, on platforms like 4chan, Reddit, or Discord, notices bulge is a humorous or satirical phrase often used to mock or highlight perceived physical traits, such as a bulge in clothing implying male anatomy. For example, in anime, furry art, or transgender related discussions. It's frequently deployed in edgy, ironic, or homophobic context to call out someone's gender or sexuality in a teasing way. Okay, so that's noticing bulge. OWO is a popular emoticon from a furry and anime subcultures. Furry anime subcultures representing a wide-eyed, surprised, or aroused expression like a cat's face or owl. Cat face, OWO. It's often paired with phrases like, "What's this?" to feign innocence or excitement about discovering something unexpected, such as a bulge. In the context of the shooting, investigators suggested this could be mocking at Kirk's public criticisms of transgender issues, including comments on transgender individuals in mass shootings. All right. So that's the what is it called? Notices bulge. Hold on a moment, please. All right. Trying to deal with too many devices here. Let me grab this again. Now remember, this is what's written on the shell casings. Notices bulge, OWO, what's this? Okay, furry fandom culture, anime subculture, right? Next, hey fascist, catch, up arrow, right arrow symbol, and three down arrow symbols. The symbols draw from anti fascist Antifa and historical resistance iconography, particularly the three arrows motif, originating from the Eisenfront, an anti Nazi paramilitary group in 1930s Weimar Germany. The three arrows symbolized unified opposition to three perceived threats: Nazism pointing right, communism pointing left, and monarchism reactionary forces pointing downward. Modern Antifa movements have adopted and adapted it as a symbol of anti fascist resistance, often simplified to three downward or diagonal arrows to represent smashing fascism or collective action against uh, authoritarian, authoritarianism. So that's your hey fascist catch, up arrow, right arrow, three down arrows. The up arrow and right arrow may represent directional or emphatic elements. The up arrow could signify rise up, a common anti fascist rallying cry, while the right arrow points literally rightward, mocking or targeting right-wing politics. For example, Kirk's pro-Trump conservatism. Together, they form a hybrid symbol critiquing fascism from the right, with the three down arrows reinforcing anti-Nazi sentiment. Governor Cox noted during the conference that these align with left-wing activist graffiti and stickers seen at protests, suggesting the shooter may have been influenced by Antifa or anarchist circles. Okay. And finally, a second unfired casing read, "Oh, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao, Ciao." This is a clear reference to Bella Ciao, the iconic Italian anti-fascist partisan anthem from World War II. The song meaning "Goodbye, Beautiful" in Italian was sung by Italian resistance fighters against Mussolini's fascist regime and Nazi occupiers. Lyrics include the chorus, "Oh, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao, Ciao." It has been revived in modern anti-fascist movements, notably as a theme song in the Netflix series Money Heist, where it is used by a group of anti-capitalist robbers as a symbol of a rebellion. The repetition and slight misspelling, CIO instead of chow, suggests a casual or meme-ified version, common in online leftist or pop culture contexts. In the press conference, FBI officials linked it explicitly to anti-fascist ideology, noting its use in protests against figures like Kirk, whom critics label as fascist for his conservative views. It reinforces the political motivation theory, especially given Kirk's American Comeback Tour themes of patriotism and anti-leftism. The engraving's playful repetition may indicate the suspect viewed the act as performative resistance, blending historical symbolism with contemporary media. So again, reviewing, notice this bulge. What's this? From furry fandom culture and anime subcultures, feigning innocence or excitement. Hey, fascist catch, up arrow, right arrow, and three down arrows, originating from the Iron Front. The three arrows symbolize opposition to three perceived threats: Nazism, monarchism, reactionary forces, and communism. Modern Antifa movements have adopted and adapted it as a symbol of anti-fascist resistance. Okay? And furthermore, Bella Ciao, the theme song from Money Heist, a traditional song sung by Italian resistance fighters against Mussolini's fascist regime and Nazi occupiers. So, back to my point. On a base level, if we're to believe this PCA, okay, that we just read, how can you carry forward on Twitter declaring this shooter to be a Trump supporter? Remember, they photoshopped. So what they did, they took the photo of the guy and photoshopped the Trump shirt on him. Too many problems here. You see, if this is as it is being presented, both by the FBI and this state of Utah and the PCA, etc., if this is all as it is on the level, then this guy clearly is aligned with Antifa, a far leftist ideology. Therefore, making sense that his target would be Charlie Kirk. And then there's the conspiracy theories, right? Which we don't know. Because this could also all be a cover up. It could also all be a cover up. Because you never accept at face value what you're presented with. Could be a cover up. Just like Delphi could be a cover up. What if the putting forth of the Odinist in Delphi is part of the cover up? Just like, what if the engraving on the bullets, in this case, is part of a cover up? It's far too complicated for any of us to ferret out. So we can't sit up here and tell you what it is, right? None of you can, neither can I. But what we can do is hold each other accountable for being fucking human beings. Adults. Normal fucking human beings who are not psychotic, murderous, praising, insane, dysfunctional human beings. Just like we should shame anyone celebrating the deaths of these guys, or anyone of this guy, or anyone trying to justify that because he had right leaning conservative opinions that he went and debated with people, that he deserved to be fucking blown away in front of the world and his family. And in the same spirit, we should shame and ostracize those in this Delphi sphere who have done the same thing. They have absolutely fucking terrorized consistently anyone who gets anywhere near to the actual story on this Delphi case. And realize that when anyone honest gives you a perspective, there is this ability to present authentic receipts to you to back up their claims. How many receipts have you seen from these fucking terrorists in Delphi? How many receipts? I'm telling you, this is difficult. This is difficult. People have been radicalized to an extent that they've entered the abyss. For a large percentage of these people, there's no coming back. There's no remediation. There's no debating until they understand what the facts are, what the facts are not. Uh, they won't ever come to an agreement to disagree like adults. They want you silenced and dead. And like I said, everything in Delphi is a microcosm. We can look at Delphi and see the same psychology, the same tactics at play. They want us silenced, permanently gone, discredited, dead. Why? And that's why I like coming back to the facts. Like I said, the problem with these people is they're not adult enough to agree upon what's agreeable, what is factual. They're too far off the edge. And for instance, in Delphi, um, do we know who was there, when, and where? Do we know what evidence is valid and what is not? Nope, 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 nope. Because the fucking lawyers didn't know. That's right. I'm sure they'll clip that one. Oh, yeah. This case was a fucking circus. The lawyers did not know what was factual and what was not. How in the hell could they argue this case? It was all performative. It was all a fucking game. And you've got to watch out. I'm telling you. I think as we go forward in time, more and more people will realize how they were duped, the lies they've been told, what they accepted as real that was not real. There's no quick solution to this. I was thinking earlier, this is at least 20-year project. Is that going to be is it going to be the same with Delphi? The time for I don't know, acclimating, tolerating, keeping silent about the little things. I think the time's passed for that. It's over. Anyway, like I said, so I'm thinking that I'm probably only going to do Delphi on Fridays now from here on out because I really got nothing else to say. And And all of you who have understood that I've shown you the truth, and I've only tried to demand answers from everyone. I think it should be absolutely clear. There's not even much more to show. Um, I think distracting you with all of these other fucking theories and shit, it's just a waste of time. Um, you all seem to be capable of coming around on Fridays. I'll be around on Fridays. Um, but otherwise, I think there's a lot. I think there's many more important things to discuss, especially if I'm going to use this channel to try to somehow add a voice that brings better things to the world and reality to situations. I mean, can we just talk about what's real here in all of these things that are breaking without it having to be spin every time? Honestly, there was so much more I wanted to say, but I am at a loss. I'm at a loss. I will say this, since we're on this particular topic, um, I would implore you all to save your money, stack your cash. I would have a pantry full of food that could last you for some time in case the lights go out or in case your neighborhood is locked down. Fix your cars, get the tires all right, the oil changes. I mean, I know I said earlier about this concept of how many hours a day do you spend not on your devices, but out in the world? And I would highly recommend that you think about that and and choose the option to put the phone down and go outside, do things, uh, family, neighbors, because this is a it's really it's unbelievable. I think this display that we saw in the celebrations, you know, and this is the problem. They will say repeatedly, they will say that the other side would do it if it came down to it. No, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it won't. I'm sorry it wouldn't. Because there's people who are built differently, and I think most people who are right with the Lord, they would not ever feel in their hearts joy or vindictiveness or like a gotcha moment, someone is murdered in cold blood out in the public sphere like that. And I think that these platforms that have enabled all this, and the politicians who have encouraged this rhetoric without maybe understanding the consequences of the crazies taking that and running with it, I think it's time to for a wake up call. I honestly believe any one of those accounts that were celebrating that, they should probably be permanently banned from social media. The mainstream media platforms that have constantly pushed this shit, they should probably be gutted. And all the digital platforms, like I mentioned earlier, Discord, Reddit, and all the others should, I don't know, there needs to be accountability for the perpetuation or enabling of all of this. And it's gone on too long. And I know for myself, I'm going to consistently beat this drum of there needs to be liability on the part of the platforms, and there needs to be accountability on the part of law enforcement to handle this. Okay? Handle this. In other words, law enforcement, there must be a demand that they put an end to the constant terrorism using words and memes on the internet. Because there have been people who've died because of it. Don't you remember just this month, this past month? I don't like using that particular word that starts with an S, but how many self deletions have happened in this world, in this social media age, because the platforms allowed it? The platforms like Discord and Reddit and YouTube and Facebook have consistently allowed harassment to the nth degree. And then someone ends up dead. And then they allow it with others. And then someone ends up dead. And then they allow it and allow it and allow it. And you have death after death after death after death. And those who are not dead, they're fucking suffering from PTSD like you cannot believe. Because of the constant barrage of harassment, intimidation, doxing, bullying, death threats, while they make a profit from the engagement on their platforms. I think it's pretty clear to you. It should be pretty clear that I am definitely more conservative in my beliefs than I've ever been, and in large part, That's due to the actions of the left in the past fucking 15 years. And so, if you happen to be on the other side, it's fine. It's fine. You're welcome here. There won't be much debating, though. There's not going to be debating. But you're welcome to discuss civilly in the chat. You see, what all of this is really tantamount to is that we have these civil liberties. And these civil liberties have been abused. And they've been abused or overstepped to the point now that I think it probably needs to become clear that civil liberties are for civil people. And when we get to this point where people are uncivil, using their civil liberties, well, then it's time for them not to be privileged with those liberties. And see, this has nothing to do with what I'm saying about normal left-leaning and normal right-leaning individuals, the adults in the room, the people who just want to fucking have friends and family and loved ones and a fucking grocery store that they can go and achieve some fucking food in their basket and bring home to the pantry, and a fucking house that they can afford to live in. Some people just want the good things in life. Normal. This is what I said when I began the show. The adults, the normal folks. But these people who have become uncivil, they don't deserve to be in the conversation. There's no longer admittance to the conversation of normal people who want good things because they are not fucking lunatics. We are dealing with nihilistic, occult, Satanist, fanatical freaks whose egoism supersedes everything else in their lives. Therefore, they don't value anything. And so, like I said, it's time to wake up from the fucking delusions. Listen, this country is so fucking dangerous to live in. In case you don't know, go to ChatGPT or whatever fucking program you want to use and go look up statistics for murders and violent crimes in other countries. Go to Italy, Norway. Just go dabble around. And then Google your statistics in your own locality. And I think you're going to realize that this shit is absolutely fucking out of control. And like I said, it's not because of the guns. We're not playing that game no more. Because a dumbass redneck around the corner, he ain't shooting up people with them guns. The ones who are not going to adhere to any laws, because if they're willing to murder, which it fundamentally means they don't believe in the rule of law to begin with. So that entire discussion is gone. It's not about the number of guns. It's about the laws, the law enforcement, what is tolerated, what is the corruption, all the various levels that are the plagues in our society, in America, that years of a corrupt government have given us. And America was comfortable. They were distracted. You know, remember I referenced MK Ultra at the beginning. Why do you think the television was invented? And these fucking devices are the new television. And I don't want to hear shit fucking all about microaggressions and all the fucking gaslight these people use to try to shut you down. Those discussions are over. Like I said, we're at a point now where there's no debating, there's stating, or I like to use the word declarations. There's declaring what is and what isn't, what's truth and what's not, what you think and what you don't. There's no more debating it, because obviously, like a podcaster made a great point that Charlie Kirk, he was the most gentle debater from that side. And I think that it's sort of apparent that this sort of debate is not wanted, not constructive, and that element that cannot be engaged civilly, it will not hear any words. So this is an admonition to everyone for their politics, to everyone for their engagement, and to the platforms who've allowed this type of cesspool to fester, where kids online who are fundamentally fucked up, even at 8 years old, or 10 years old, or 15 years old, or 18 years old, or 24, They go into these fucking corners of the internet. They find themselves surrounded by people who can groom them on up into absolute fucking psychotics. Then they get a gun and they go kill somebody. Or they get a knife and they go stab somebody. Or even worse, they get a fucking computer and they terrorize you for fucking 5 years of your life until you kill yourself. And like I said, this is an experiment. We are the first generation dealing with this shit. How are we going to deal with it? In my opinion, it shouldn't be allowed to exist anymore. And the feds could take care of it. And you know they could. And these corporations could take care of it. The onus goes back to them. And, just sitting here thinking, I'm thinking that maybe I should do a show Sunday to talk with people because tonight wasn't about you in the chat or in the comment section, and I didn't have a guest. There was no discussion here. This is one way, this was a one way opinion, okay? And this will be our last Friday night fights. So I am done with fighting you all. Um, I think that I've laid out in these 13 episodes a very clear picture. And I hope that you all understand all that was said in this because I'm done and I'm switching gears. I told a friend on the phone, I'm switching gears. So, with that being said, please, somebody put up my GoFundMe and also my Substack because please, I would urge you to go subscribe to my Substack. I love my Substack, although I haven't been writing as much there in this past week or two because I've been absolutely busy. But please do subscribe to the Substack because at the Substack, I'm going to be putting things and saying things that I would like to say that I can't say elsewhere, like here, and I can't show you elsewhere, like here, because of these fucking maniacs who are going to abuse the platform. Okay? But please, the Substack, okay? And please go visit the GoFundMe. And there's reasons for that. But please do support the GoFundMe. I have the fundraiser now. Uh, I want to continue doing Delphi. Like I said, at this point, it's probably going to be limited to Fridays. And if you happen to contribute at the GoFundMe, I think there's a way that you can leave a note if there's certain things you're most interested in, if you're a supporter of that nature. That's what the GoFundMe is for. It's sort of like my Patreon. It's you want to support me for real, you want to be an active part of this or have a real fucking input into what I go and take a look at, we use the GoFundMe for that in my email address. Okay, be a big part of the community if you're able to, if you want to. And otherwise, the Substack is a great place if you're interested in the things that I would like to show you over there. Um, and that's all I have to say. Okay. And finally, I want to thank everybody who's here. Everybody's with a wrench, okay? Because there's a lot of you with wrenches who day after day, stream after stream, even when I'm slow, like once a week, like now, or even when I'm fucking 5 days a week, there's a lot of you who are mods with wrenches who've always been here helping, supporting, and encouraging. And I want to thank you all in this down below, okay, for doing all of that. Because I'm sorry, there's a lot of times here when I'm not myself or I'm upset or we have these fucking incidents like now where we got to talk about things that I'd rather not be discussing. But it's the mods there that are really like the central core members of the community. That's why I gave them all wrenches. So I appreciate all of you. And I'll give more wrenches, and I may even take some wrenches because I'm not here to fuck around. Okay. So if you don't like what's being said, just give the wrench back, or I'll take it. And if I see you hanging around, I'll probably give you a wrench. But I want to thank everybody for being here. This was my show for Friday. Today is September 12th. All right. So I guess it's going to be a short one because that's about all I got to say. That was a difficult talk. So I'll let that be that. And thank you very much. And special shout out to David Rogers. Okay, David Rogers. This stuff can't last much longer, Prof. You're spot on with the division synopsis. It's ridiculous. Thank you, Granny D. Thank you. You're appreciated. Thank you, Granny D. Thanks for the truth, Mino Dino. Thank you, Mino Dino. Oleg Cat, don't take the stream down. It needs to be heard. Thank you very much, Oleg Cat. Hey, you supporters tonight, I thank you very much. And anyone else that sent a Cash App or buy me a coffee or a GoFundMe, thank you for all the support. And like I said, especially my wrenches down there. I'm going to make some phone calls tomorrow, though, and I'm going to try to see if I can drum up a panel for Sunday. All right, so good luck with that. Hopefully that works out so I can do a Sunday show with some other individuals. But thanks a lot, everyone who stuck with me. No one wants to talk fucking politics. Out of here. Thank you very much.